Yes. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Gerald Peters, and I believe that anybody, regardless of age, race, or your current financial situation, can become rich, if not, at very least, financially independent in the next 7 to 10 years. Today, I got a good friend of mine. I do a program called Campfire Real Estate with this man, Dan Borrero, over on Instagram. We're going to bring him on. He's doing a seminar tomorrow. I know a lot of you guys, a lot of the people that are inside the MFG, the inner circle, so to speak, a lot of people that are in there with me, you guys are involved in real estate. We have a Discord channel just for real estate. I talk a lot about real estate in my free ebook. You don't have to die broke. It has been the cornerstone, the bedrock, so to speak, of my wealth. So we're going to bring Dan on, and he's doing a seminar this week with his good friend, Chris. And these two guys have an enormous amount, decades and decades and decades. I'm not going to say he's that old, but decades of information about dealing with contractors, the construction people, the handyman, the electrician, the plumber, the roofer, the foundation guy. How do you deal with these people? How do we not get ripped off? Can we buy properties and use these kind of people and build equity in these properties? Nobody knows more than my buddy Dan. Let's bring him in. Boom. You were saying you get to the work site, you knew the head guy's not there.
So I got to the work site today, and I knew the contractor was not there. Now, this is a small crew. It's only him and 4 guys, and they really do good work. I can't say anything bad about his work. But when I got to the building, when I got into the first floor, I knew he wasn't there because it was construction dust in the hallway. So, and my thing is, just because I'm doing work in one apartment doesn't mean that the quality of life to the other tenants should have to diminish or suffer, right?
Right.
So when I go upstairs, sure enough, the door was being held open by a brick because they were bringing down garbage, but hence there's still 2 other guys working, and the dust is now going into the hallway. So I was trying to keep my cool with the workers, and then I called Tony up. And he said, I'm on my way there now. I got a phone call, meaning from one of his guys. And, and I was like, this is unexcusable, right? So he has his guys there cleaning now. But
you own this entire building?
Yeah, it's a 3-family building. It's not a large building. I bought that building, I think it was 1995.
Right.
So I own that building almost 30 years, and actually it is 30 years. And now I'm doing the kitchen and the bathroom, but the apartment's in great shape. But the kitchen's 30 years old, the bathroom's 30 years old, and
right.
You know how it is. We always got to constantly reinvest into our business, otherwise the business won't continue to feed us, right?
Right.
So I'm just updating. I'm ripping out. I ripped out the kitchen, the bathrooms, just to update it. I didn't move any walls. I didn't do any structural work.
And this is out of one separate dwelling of the 3?
Yeah. So that apartment emptied out at the end of December, and December, January, and February are the worst months to rent apartments in the city because of the cold. And then if I want to get people in there, I got to lower the price dramatically. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to. It's going to be tough to rent this to find the right person for over this slow period. Let me take advantage. I got to get this kitchen done and bathroom anyway. Not that it was leaking, not that anything was damaged.
You're getting ahead of it.
Yeah, the reality is that it's getting tired. It's 30. It's a 30-year-old kitchen, a 30-year-old bathroom, right?
You just said a whole lot there. I don't know if people got it. One, the seasonal nature of your business. You knew. Even if I try to rent a unit right now, I might get less for it.
Yes.
I need to upgrade this unit. So the perfect time to upgrade it would be when, if I would list it, I would get less.
Right.
So that's just logical, but not knowing that, not having that pointed out to you, because the way I figured this out was over years.
Pretty much the same thing for me.
Yeah.
You know what, Gerald? You and I didn't have what everyone else has today, social media.
Right.
They didn't have Dan Borrero, Gerald Peters telling you how to do this business, right? If they had, oh my God, I don't know if we know each other because I probably wouldn't be ever lift a hammer, or I mean, I shouldn't say that. I'd still be working. I would be a lot more ahead. Not that I've done bad. God, I've done so well. I sometimes I got to pinch myself to say, oh my God, I could really afford to do this.
Yeah. And I'm sure you probably go through all, being an entrepreneur, you might go through all of those emotions in one day, from where
Yeah,
you might be going bankrupt to like, you can't believe how blessed you are.
yeah,
All in one day.
yeah. Listen,
Um,
I remember, my wife and I, we were in Puerto Rico, and I was like, you know what? I think I want to buy something here. And she was like, yeah, I was thinking the same thing. And like the
right.
next morning, we were looking at condos on the water to
Nice.
buy. We did put in a few offers. I didn't get the one. I'm kind of mad at myself because I didn't have I had my business hat on, not my personal hat on, and I was negotiating like if it was my business, and I lost the deal for $10,000. To this day, it's funny. I woke up New Year's Day and I was like, the first thing that came to my head was, I could have been waking up overlooking the ocean right now
Right.
with
And you
ten
did over
thousand
10
dollars.
grand.
But
Yeah.
again, I was like, then my wife and I, we go to dinner that night. I was like, can you believe we could actually just make a decision like that? Like,
Yeah.
while we're sitting on the beach, like, let's do this, like, with no thought process. I never thought in my life I'd be able to do. I mean, I was hoping that I would be able to make a decision like that in my life that quickly, but hoping and getting there is two different things.
When I bought my beach place, I think you know this, I paid cash.
Yeah.
And the reason was I was afraid the shit might go wrong because I've learned through life it does, and it did, right? And I was happy. That was my insurance. But I remember when we wrote that check, dude, I was like, man, I just wrote a $365,000 check.
Yeah.
My base pay in Iraq was $900.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and you're sitting there and it's like, there's no one else having this surreal moment like you're having it,
Yeah.
It's just business as normal at the title company.
It's kind of crazy though. When it comes to business, I'm like, I'm wiring them, 900,000, $1 million, $1 million, and sometimes it's only a small condo in Orlando for like 120, 140, right? And I don't think twice about it. But when it comes to like buying something for me personally,
yeah,
that I'm not going to be making money from,
yeah,
oh my God, it's excruciating decisions.
yeah. I'll buy pads and stuff for trading. I have 3 pads, computers, things. Boom, I'll buy a phone and a pad like that because I use them all day long for work. But I've been looking at this watch. It's $1,100. I have the money, and I'm looking at it, and then I'm like, should I do blue? Like, it just seems hard to do it. But if it was for work or business or flooring, it'd be 18. I'm not even thinking about the $1,800 or the 3,000.
Isn't it like, yeah, you go to home. It's funny. I was just looking at a receipt.
Yeah.
So it tells you on the bottom, what your how much you spent. And I'm up to almost $20,000 this year. Right.
This year just started.
Yeah, because it starts January 1st. It starts January 1st, right? And I'm thinking so I was just looking. I was like, man, I don't remember spending that kind of money. But I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, I just did this job. I just did that job. I'm doing this job. And then it makes sense, But if I had to spend that on my personal house, it would bother me. It would bother me.
Yeah, we'd be having some conversations, looking at some colors. Like, it'd be more,
Yeah.
And every once in a while, I think we both had this conversation where your wife was like, hey, that's all fine and dandy, but this is what you need to fix right now.
Yeah.
You've been saying that for the last 8 properties, but
yeah. I'll give you a good one, Gerald. I don't know if I ever tell you this one. This happened about 1.5 years ago. I get an email from my wife.
She's going to hit you like this.
Yeah. So she's like, this is the tenant at such property. And these are the things I've been asking you to address that haven't been addressed. And this is the last time we spoke about you addressing these issues. And, and she gave me a whole list of, things to do list. And I go downstairs and I couldn't stop laughing. I said, why would you send me that? She says, your tenant sent you an email. You jump on it like this, And I said, yeah, but you're not my tenant. You cost me money. You don't make me money.
It is, man, it's weird. There's a point where you're not thinking like, and then you are, You don't know when that happened. It's just the way life is, man.
Yes, it is.
So you and Chris, what's Chris' full name? I didn't want to mispronounce it.
Chris Haskins.
Okay. And Chris is really the subject to guy, man, right? Is that his jam?
He's so into subject to, man. He's
Yeah.
He's killing it, man, especially out where he's at, but in Virginia.
Like if I wanted to learn subject to in real estate, he's the guy you go to.
Yeah, I anybody asks me a question about subject to, I'm like, call Chris. Like,
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I wouldn't even. I call Chris when it comes to subject to.
Yeah, and I've started watching some of his stuff. You bet, and because I thought
It's
for me,
like if somebody asks me a question about stocks, I'm gonna like, you better follow Gerald Peters and get his newsletter.
Right.
You know.
Right. I get asked about land a lot. And that was one of the things I was going to talk to you about. Us doing something. We could test it out in my Discord, but maybe doing a webinar on that.
Yeah, I would love to do it.
Yeah, and that's something we could we'll talk about. But you're doing one tomorrow with Chris, and it's dealing with. I think this is one of the scariest parts for doing real estate for the average person. It's dealing with the contractors. They fear it because everybody has a bad contractor story.
So, and God, I've had.
Yeah.
My worst story is I got robbed. But when I first started this business, I got lucky with my first property. And then I thought it was going to be always that easy.
Yeah, I did too.
And
like,
then
this
the second
cheat
property,
code, man.
holy shit. I got robbed by the mortgage broker, the title agent. I got robbed literally. But the biggest thieves, the ones that almost put me under, were the two contractors. And so much so that, my accountant and my attorney are telling me, hey, just declare bankruptcy. And I'm like,
yeah, I remember you telling me that. Yeah.
And if I do that, it's like, that's like admitting that I failed. Like I just, it's not in my DNA. And I actually sold both my cars. I was using public transportation for like 3 years.
Nice.
I emptied out my wife's entire 401k or her entire IRA. At the time, I didn't have an IRA because every cent that I was making, I was trying to buy property.
I couldn't remember if that was you or if that was our mutual friend. Having a brain lock.
Mark.
No.
Gerald.
Passed away.
Passed
away. Rick. Jeez.
Rick Drummond.
Right. I couldn't remember because he did something with. I think he leaned on his wife's IRA, and then I remember you saying I couldn't remember if it was you that cashed.
Oh my God! I didn't have a choice. It was like or lose the building,
And she was down with that. She stayed. I mean, she was like, "Hey, do what you got to do."
Yeah, she said, "Do what you got to do," and
that's wonderful.
So we and it's funny, Gerald. That building I still own, and that is like my flagship property.
There you go.
And that building's worth about $6.5 million right now, and I got no mortgage on it.
That's how they got the name Berkshire Hathaway, right? You wonder why does Warren Buffett call his shit Berkshire Hathaway?
Tell me why.
That's someone else's name. He bought a textile company, basically the building and this business, thinking like, no, this thing can still make it. Almost like he bought a newspaper. Or some shit like a beeper business, or you bought some business that was like on its way out, but you thought it had a little leg left. That's what he did, and that stock went to zero.
Oof.
And he goes, you know what? That's the name of our company.
Is that right?
He kept the entity, kept the business, and just turned that shit in. And that's what he was going to make. I'm gonna make this the richest company in the world.
And he did.
Yeah, and so it was kind of like one of those things, man, where he just kept it. It became his flagship. So sometimes your biggest mess up becomes your message. I mean,
you keep your nose to the grind. You learn from your mistakes, and that particular property, I made every possible mistake I could have possibly made when it came to contractors. So but it's kind of funny. It could have put me under. It almost did. But because of that, I don't know if I should want to kill them when I see them and run them over with my truck. Or should I thank them because they've saved me hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years? Because
those first two guys, those lessons, and I say this all the time, man. Everything I've learned, I learned from losing. If you have an aversion to losing to the point where you can't move forward, you're never going to learn anything. Yes, you can learn from me and you, but you're still going to make mistakes, or you're not going to believe us on that one part, and you're going to do it one time. You just got to know it. Real estate's forgiving.
It's forgiving if you could sustain the time.
Yeah. Which means it involves lots of moving parts, right? Getting your loan right. But I do think the contractor part is. I mean, I'm sure you guys are going to cover everything from how to disperse money to them.
Well, we're going to start with the first steps. We're going to take it step by step. So just like if let's start like how do you find them? Where do you look for these contractors in the first place? Or that specific type of service, whether it be a plumber, electrician, or painter, or carpenter.
Are you always meeting new guys? Or are you always coming into contact with new people?
I am, but it's funny because every relationship has an expiration date. But with contractors, it's just that expiration date seems to be a lot shorter.
It's almost like you're a football coach of an NFL team, man.
Yeah,
people are getting injured or coming and going.
It is, and that's part of the team. So contractors, the best. It's funny when I have great contractors. The longest contractor that ever lasted was 7 years. On average, they last though between 3 and 5, and most of the time, 99% of the time, we part ways amicably. It could be because either they got sick, like the guy that I had for 7 years, he had a brain aneurysm.
Right, they have a baby, they change out.
So in his case, right? He got sick. It wasn't that he got sick, and and I had 2 more jobs lined up for him. Another guy had a heart issue. Another person got divorced, and he just didn't want to even be in the same town or state that his ex-wife was in.
Drugs, alcohol. I've had them where they have alcohol.
I no longer have those problems when the relationship expires because of drugs and alcohol on their behalf.
Right.
Because we do such a good vetting process. If I even sense that might be an issue, I gotta be honest with you. If I even smell tobacco on their clothes, I don't want them on my job.
Really?
Because it's almost 100% likely that they're going to smoke.
Right. Oh yeah.
So I don't want my apartment smelling like tobacco after it's freshly painted and everything's brand new. No. So we tell them
my charge $5 a cigarette that I find on the ground.
So
I'll right off your bill.
We vet them out, and essentially we're going to be talking about tomorrow how to find them, where to find them, what questions you should be asking them, what responses they should be giving you, not only verbally, but body language. What clues you should be looking for, like the cleanliness of their truck, how they're dressed, whether they're wearing uniforms.
Red flags.
There's a lot of red flags. We're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about how to check their references, make sure that their references are legit. We're going to be talking about, the importance of what insurance policies they should have, what certificate of insurance you should be getting, making sure that you're named as additional insured on the certificate, making sure that you get a 1099 signed so you could actually write that off. We're going to be talking about the lien release that you should be getting. Chris has his own contract that he uses, which is going to be an itemized list, which is basically, a description of the job, every single thing that's supposed to be done, including down to which material is supposed to be using, scope of work. We're giving all this to everyone. That all comes with it. So, and it's only $29. Yeah.
It's going to be. I wanted to get you on here, man. I was like, man, $29, you can't go wrong. I know I'm going to jump on it. What time are you guys starting?
We're doing from 11 to 2. 11 to 2.
Eastern time.
All
right, so 10 a.m. my time. That's a good time. It's not too early.
Yeah, we were going to do it earlier, but Chris was like, wait a minute, we may get people like from out west that was like 2 hours behind us, 3 hours behind us.
Yeah, it's hard for California when you do those 9 a.m. fucking seminars.
Yeah.
7 a.m. they're getting up on a Saturday at 5 or 6 a.m.
Yeah, but you know how it is, Joe. People like you and I, man, we're like, right? So we want to hit this up and going. It's early in the morning, right?
Yeah.
Like for me to sit around and like, I'm gonna be anxious because I'm so prepared, and this comes with actually a digital workbook. We're gonna be sending this out. Yeah, so you guys, and if you get the CEO package, which is $97, you'll also get a copy of the video.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask you. So on the upgrade, you can get the video. So if you can't make it tomorrow, you could just do the upgrade and you just get the workbook and the video and just watch it on your own time.
Yeah, but I would definitely try to make it because you know how it is with the engagement, right? And then if you have a question, you could ask us. That's it. Look, we're saying 3 hours. It's probably going to go 4.
Yeah, there's always bonuses to being there in person. I get like I tell you on my last webinar, probably 10 or 15, maybe even 20% bought it with the intention of not being there. And that's cool. I appreciate the order, right? But I do think you get something, you get a connection, you get something out of it. You can read facial expressions when a question's asked. You can see the severity of, I don't know. There's just something about being there.
Yeah, but the other thing is what I like to make sure when we do these things, I like to make sure that people have an opportunity to network. So we're going to be encouraging everybody. Like, listen, in the chat, make sure you put down where you're from, what you do.
Ask them if they're in the MFG, because I'm gonna put this out to I'm gonna put it out tonight. We don't even need to edit it. And let them know to get on there. I don't think we said anything bad. No bad jokes. No bad jokes. Sometimes I'm like, hey, timestamp that. 141.
Yeah, but again, it's only $29 and it's a lot of value. I wish I had like don't you wish? Let me ask you, Gerald, like if when we started, if we had social media, Instagram, YouTube,
if I had
how much faster would we have leveled up and scaled up?
Man, I have some people do that. Like my girl Jess that works with me, and then this young dude named Ethan. He, the kid's fast becoming my boy, man. Like because he's so hungry and aggressive, and you can sense it, and the questions are there. And like he just got in his car and drove 11 hours to my house to hang out with us for 2 days. Oh. You know how many people say they'll do some shit like that and then they don't actually do it. So now just the fact that he made, cause I thought he was kidding. Like, I'm like, yeah, I'll see you there on Saturday, bro. Next thing I know, that's from a live on YouTube. He's texted me his hotel reservation. Shit, now I got to see him, right? Because he sent me, which New Orleans, there's a lot of, tourism comes in. It's like New York, it's catered. It can, and then he, just shows up and then he's like, so now you kind of want to help him,
Yeah, you feel obligated, but but you also want to help him because he's putting in the work, right?
Yeah, and you're like, dude, that was me, dude, when I was, because he's 25, 27, and he's hungry, and he's already got a, 6-figure net worth, and you're at my house going, tell me more.
Yeah.
And you're like, is there anything I can do for you, Gerald? Like,
exactly.
And I'm like, dude, if that was me, by the time I'm 50 now, I'm worth 25, 30, maybe 100 million.
No, Gerald would be worth $1 million. I mean, not $1 million. You'd be worth 100 million.
Yeah, maybe 100 billion. And then thinking my last year, can we turn this into $1 billion? Thinking, I think we could, because the number gets exponentially larger. It grows the same way.
Exactly. So again, we had these platforms, you and I, with our desire to succeed.
Yeah.
Like there is no plan B.
And I see some people
push forward.
Yeah. Every once in a while I get people that think, oh, we're taking a social break. I'm like, bro, what are you looking at on social that you need a fucking break? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is going on in your head?
Yo, I'll give you one better.
Because I've never watched so much Jim Rohn that I'm like, oh, I've got to take a break. Or, you know what I mean? Like some Tony Robbins. Like I've watched so much motivational or educational shit. I need a break. Because that's what I use it for. Like,
well, so it was a relative of mine said to me, yo, when are you going to stop working? Life is short. I was like, let me ask you a question. Did you come to me last year for a loan?
Right. You're enjoying life now. Like,
didn't you come to me last year for a loan? Think about what
you enjoying life then, right? How much was he enjoying it then?
Right. And by the way, I don't lend money to relatives. Right. I'm telling you want me to help you make money? Or you want me to help you figure out how to get out of the hole you're in? I'll do that.
Yeah, we can work together and make some money if you want. Like,
but I'm not giving you money. I was actually in shock when he asked me.
Yeah. I'll help anybody. If you got an idea to make money, man, come talk to me.
Yeah.
Right? I'm listening. And if I don't have to do a lot and I can just either give advice or a resource or some money, and you make me money, I'm in. And
this is the same guy that got upset when I told him no. He says, man, you don't understand because you don't have a mortgage. I said, well, no, I understand.
You don't have a mortgage.
I said, bro, let me tell you what I understand. I understand that you're off the entire summer because of the job he has, allows him to. I said, while you vacationing, I was working. And while you out on the weekends having wine and cheese and posting where you're at at these events, I'm working.
Your white van posting on Instagram, you're working.
I says, yeah. So I says, when you hanging out, relaxing on Sunday night, watching the last football game after you watch football all day, I was working. It's just
Mhm.
anybody can have what I have. All you got to do is work.
Mhm. And you know what? You enjoy the football game a hell of a lot more when Dan stops watching football game, right? We might get box seats. I don't know. We might take the whole family. Like when I go to enjoy something, I can do it because I don't need to borrow money to do it.
So Chris Haskins calls me up and he says, "Hey Dan," he goes, "You know, I want to get tickets to the Met game, but I don't even know where to sit." I was like, "Chris, man, don't worry about it. I got this. I go on
I
Vivid
got this.
Seats, man.
Right.
We get seats right behind home plate, and it just so happens it was like 4 hours before the game, so of
Yeah.
course they're gonna be really cheap,
Yeah.
right? It's
Right.
like
Right.
$400 tickets. We're getting them for like $85 a head, right? And it's like the cushion seats, white glove service, everything. But still,
You're not
$85
even
a
thinking
head.
about the price, right? Like you're not
Yeah,
even.
I wasn't thinking about it. It was like
Yeah.
he has a family of five. I'm coming with my family of six. It's 11 people, and we
Yeah.
paid it. Well, with the tax and everything, comes out to maybe
Nice.
$100 a head, right?
Right.
That's the way you want to go see a game, not in the nosebleeds for $20 a head,
Right. Because you're not doing it every weekend.
right? But the point is like
Yeah.
somebody asked me once. It was like the last Super Bowl, and they were like, "Oh, who do you think's going to win?" I was like, "What do I give a shit who's going to win?"
Yeah. I'm there to watch the commercials because it affects the stock market.
Yeah.
It
I
does,
says,
man.
if I
That's
go
why.
watch it, it's for the socializing.
Right. I'll
And
go to
listen,
anything, man. It could
this
be
is where I say
hockey,
what I say is,
NASCAR.
look,
Yeah.
none of it's like when the Mets, if the Mets are doing good or bad, these people like my workers, they're all listening to these news, to the sportscasters, and then sportscasters that they're complaining about the manager this or the ball player this, and I'm like. So I'm looking at my workers and I'm like, yo, turn that shit off. I'm not listening to that when I'm on my job. So, and they're like,
Right.
well, what? I said, let me explain something to you. You think that guy gives a shit if you could pay your mortgage today?
Exactly.
You think he cares if you could pay your food bill or your medical insurance? He don't care. He's still gonna
Nope.
make money.
Yep.
I said, so, and he's getting paid to do something he loves to do.
That's the thing, man. And regular people are paying to watch him do his thing. They need to pay you to watch you do your thing. That was
Yes.
a great lesson I learned one time. He goes, man, you should be doing something that you'd pay to watch. And that sat with me for the longest time. I'm like, what the hell does that even mean? He meant that you're doing something big enough, cool enough, life changing enough that other people would want to pay you to learn it. You know, he was one of my early mentors, but it took me a second to really get what he was saying. And
There
yeah,
was a guy on
that's
Instagram.
back to what we were saying earlier. Like if I could have met me, you know, 30 years ago, it's kind of like right back to that, right?
I got a question for you, Gerald. If you could go to yourself, the Gerald today, and you were
Mm,
able to go like Back to the Future movie,
mm.
and you could go back and say to yourself, say something to you when you were 18, when you were 18 years old,
Yeah.
but you only had about 30 seconds to say whatever you were going to say to yourself in 30 seconds, what would you say to yourself?
It would be something along the lines of just stack money, stack wisdom, and don't get hitched to anyone too soon. You know, um, if you know, I think those kind of if I had a very short period of time, it's like, listen, you have to stack money, you have to get smarter, and you have to make sure you're not hitched to anyone that isn't doing those two things. Whether it be marriage or a business partner or parents, you know what I'm saying? Like you got to break free of their hangups, their poverty mindset. And so like when your girl let you take her 401k, that's someone that's backing you. Like
100%.
100%.
I
And if
tell
you
people
have
all the time,
that
man,
in our work ethic and
I tell
knowledge,
people all the time, if I got divorced, I wouldn't argue with anything. Here's half. Here's half off the top.
my wife will tell you that too. Sometimes I say that so plainly, it's like, well, goddamn. Like, and I mean that as a compliment, not as a
Yep,
you get what I'm saying? I mean it.
absolutely.
Yeah, and it's like we don't even need to argue about that. That's not shit we need to argue about.
Nope.
Like that's a given. Like that's already assumed to me.
Yep.
Um, yeah, and that would be the same as if it was your brother or whoever. They're owed what they're owed. I mean, you know.
Just
But you
like
ever notice the most messy, awful, and it's like one house one fuck, and it's just like, bro, you guys are fighting that hard over that, dude. One
It's
house,
like
I got
you
three
pay
of them.
more, paying more
Yeah,
attorney's fees than what you're fighting over.
we don't even need attorneys.
Nope.
Like, you know what I mean? If you're a person of ethics and there's one thing for a union to dissolve. We just have differences we can't get past, but that's separate from me and money. Like, you know, I can't imagine stealing from my children. Can you? I can't imagine cheating a family member or a business partner. There's no reason when we can all make money together.
No, even when you dissolve a relationship, even like I just had a situation with a contractor this week.
Right. Which is funny. I call you and I go, "What are you doing?" And immediately you're like dealing with this damn contractor. And I was like, "Oh, that's appropriate for the seminar. Good, you got a real life,
Yeah.
fresh testimony."
And by the way, it was like we didn't even promote this thing. We got like almost 70 people already.
Man, I'm hoping MFG. I'll get you about 30 on there, hopefully, because they need it. These are the kind of shit people need to know, man. And
listen,
none of this competes with us anyway.
Look. Finding a contractor is not easy.
Right.
Okay. Finding a good contractor is not easy. Finding a contractor
doing it for your own home.
Yes. So the thing is, you need to go. There's a step by step process. Follow those steps. That's not to say that you still won't make a mistake or the contractor may not try to go over.
But you can get back on path.
It's going to be a whole lot less harder. Like we're going to give you the golden nuggets where I don't give deposits. And we'll tell you how you do that, right? But in the event, sometimes we may have to. How do I give a deposit but make sure I have recourse to get it back without having to go to court, right? We're going to be dropping all those golden nuggets.
People they get into all kind of with me, like, should I buy the materials? Should I deliver? I mean, there's so many little, and I know you guys are going to cover all that kind of shit.
Yeah, like, listen, me personally, I buy the material.
Me too.
For multiple reasons, right? And we've discussed that, Gerald, but I'll just
and you can still buy them and have them delivered and cut the contractor out too, even if you're not there. I mean,
well, one of the ways I got really hit over the head with that property with those two contractors was that actually was three contractors. One of them was a roofer. So he comes and he does the roof, and I paid him, whatever it was. I think it was like $14,000 back then, which was a lot of money back then. I got robbed back then for about $4,000 on the job. Now, today, that roof would probably cost me, because this was 1990, that roof today would with all the new regulations in the city of New York would cost me probably upwards of about 40 to 50.
Damn.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, and that's a flat roof. It's not even a peak roof. So, I'm finally getting back on my feet. I'm trying to get this property refinanced. I got everything up and right. I got rid of all the violations. I got rid of the bad tenants. I'm sweating bullets every month. Like I have to buy my groceries with credit cards. That's how bad it was, right? Because I refuse to fail, right? So go to refinance, and the attorney calls me and says, he says, "Listen, you gotta work, you gotta lien on this property." I said, "No, I said, I got a mortgage on it." He said, No, you got another lien. I was like, "What do you mean? Who liened my property?" And he tells me, I said, "But I don't even know who these people are." So I call the number up, and they tell me that they were the ones who delivered the material for the roof, and the contractor never paid them. But they delivered it to that job site, to that address. So now I go after the roofer. And the roofer went out of business, reopened with a new company name, changing only one word in the company, right? So and I can't go after him. Damn. Not even personally, legally, even if I win, I can't get anything from him. Right. So, that was another $4,500. Now, to me, $4,500 was like telling me $450,000.
Right. You didn't have it.
I was like, I couldn't sleep. I was like, oh my God, like what else is going to happen to me, on this property? So hence the reason why I buy all my material.
Right. And so a lot of this is just order of operation, right? Like, I mean, a lot of these things is structuring, thinking ahead. What is David Patrick always says, your next 5 moves or whatever from that book. I always try to think like a chess guy too. I'm always thinking, and I think that in stocks when I'm investing or in real estate. every time I buy a piece of property, what's my worst case scenario? What kind of contractors am I going to be dealing with on this? You know, like
Yeah,
it's
it's
at the
all
core of
about,
all this.
but I learned how to protect myself.
Yeah.
And hence you get to release a lien, you're making sure that the scope of work is done properly. Like I walk on a job and they're putting up R13 installation. I'm like, what's that shit? What are you doing? He says, well, it's what we got. I said, no, it's not. I said, it's not in the contract. Scope of work says R19. It's right here. You signed it. I'm not paying for
Right.
it.
We literally just had this. My wife picked a very specific floor, the brand, the model, and the exact flooring, and they got something else and put it in wrong.
You were telling me that.
Yeah, and he wanted us to split the difference with him, like to cut it in half so that it wouldn't cost him as much. Yeah, that's one way. Or you could have just done it right the first time. Like, and you say, well, you can make a mistake. I know, but it went from the store to here before you actually put it in. Not one person on your crew said, let me double check.
Or what about him himself?
Yeah, like, why did you leave the store with it and it has a different name? Like, there's a lot of checks and balances here along the way that are your fault. Like,
Right.
and he didn't want to eat it. So then when he bid us on doing another floor, it was twice the price of the one he had just done.
You know what? I had a similar situation with a floor guy that I had been working with for about 10 years.
That sucks, right? It sucks to lose it over such small sum.
And now this is my personal house. And now I'm doing my whole upstairs. I'm doing the bedrooms and the hallway upstairs in hardwood flooring. And I bought the wood floor that already was prepped, already that comes already polished and everything, because I didn't want the sanding and everything done in the house, right?
Right.
So my wife and I, we go pick it out. He's with us when we picked it out. Oh. I placed the order. I paid for it. But now this is a special order wood, so it's going to be there in 3 days. He schedules to pick it up. The next day he's going to install it. I moved everything out of the last floor of the house downstairs, right? We're sleeping in the living room, right? On beds, right?
Right.
So when he gets there that morning, he could get to work. And he wasn't there yet. I left to go to Brooklyn around 6 in. My wife calls me around 8:30. Says, Danny, she goes, I think this is not the wood we picked. And I said, and back then the phones weren't smartphones, right?
Yeah.
We had just gotten cell phones, but they weren't.
You're not texting and all that. Yeah.
So I said to him, Winston, it stopped working. So he says, no, well, I'm already halfway done with one of the rooms. I said, I don't care if you're halfway done. Stop working. I'll be there in 30 minutes. So I get in my car. I have to leave my office. I have to go back, a 30-minute drive. And it's the wrong floor. And I says, we can't put this down. But
since my wife's home, she is not going to let this go.
No, and I don't even want it. And I'm not going to compromise in my house. I work too hard to compromise.
Right. Wrong. Yeah.
Right. So I says, look, he goes, well, we can't return it. This is a special order. And I says, you know what? I'll use it in one of the buildings. I'll, pick up what you already put down. We'll tape up what you put down, bring back the rest of the boxes, throw them in my van. I'll put them in the basement to one of my other buildings until we need them on another job. We're definitely going to use it somewhere.
Right.
It's not going to go to waste.
So you're being very generous there. Yeah.
I said, but we need to pick up this other flooring. And then I had to settle on something totally different than what I wanted, at least close to the color. And I had to go to Home Depot and get it. Not, because I got my whole family living downstairs,
Right.
So we go, we pick it up, we get back, we bring it up, but now it's too late for him to keep working. He starts the next day, he finishes it. He charges me double for labor.
He didn't want to eat any of it.
So I said to him, he charged me not double, he charged me for the extra day of work. Right. So I said, you sure you want to do that, bro?
Yeah.
I says, remember, I'm eating the material too.
Yeah.
Right. I said, you sure you want to do that?
He didn't want to take none of it. Yeah.
He said, well, it's a mistake. I said, okay, no problem. I paid him. So I said, his name was Winston. I said, Winston, that's the last dollar you'll see from Dan Borrero ever again. And by the way, Gerald, he used to get about another 5 to 10 referrals a year from me.
Right. Other people. Yeah. You keep your guys busy. You want your contractors doing well if they're doing you well. I mean,
Yeah. And and then he came to me like 3 years later. Listen, could we talk? And I was like, no, you had a chance to talk. I found somebody new. And that guy, that was 15 years ago. Now I got the guy I have, his name is Reggie. He's been doing my floors for 15 years.
right. And you guys would work it out. I mean, I've had AC guys fall through my ceiling. He didn't mean to fall through the ceiling, and then they're over there just taking care of it, and my bill's the same. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're not trying to, well, maybe you didn't have enough space boards or none of that bullshit. Like, matter of fact, I was like, man, if you just get it back here, we'll take it from there. Like, matter of fact, I'll eat a little bit on that to help them out so they feel like they owe me.
That happened to me about 6 months ago on a property, and it just so happens my sheetrocker was on the job, and I said to him, "Yo, can you fix this hole?"
Right.
And he's like, "Yeah, man." He goes, "I'll do it, no problem."
Yeah, there's no harm, no foul.
No, we were all working there already. It wasn't like, he had pieces of sheetrock. He was on the job already, and the sheetrocker didn't charge me anything extra. The AC guy was apologetic.
Oh, dude, I've had AC people call the city because they didn't like some of the other people that I had working with me. This is the company I use all the time. And they had a little beef going with someone else, so they thought they thought that would be the fun way to handle that. Call the city inspector. And I'm like, you don't think that would piss me? He goes, it was more really trying to mess with them than me personally, but I took that personal.
Yeah, because he's bringing you into his problems or his gripes.
Yeah. So now we got this dude with a clipboard on our fucking job site. And all it was one of the guys from El Salvador that worked for me. So that's what the problem really was. He was just running the electrical cord up there. He's not going to hook anything up. He's just laying it out for the electricians. They're still going to check it and do all their stuff. But he said he saw him like laying electricity. Called the city. And that's my guy. That guy works directly for me. So if you call on him, you're calling on me. Right? Yeah. I mean, yeah. And I was like, so think of that. That over that little nonsense, they lost us. And we've probably put in 25 AC 30 since then. My wife almost went to jail because that dude walked in on our job site out of the blue. And in Texas, they can walk in without a warrant. Like if you're working.
But if you like here in New York, only if you let them in.
Right. My wife's saying they can't just walk on, but he told me if they see a dumpster outside, he can open the door.
He can knock on the door. Open the door.
He tried to tell me he could.
Bullshit. That's why I went out there and almost got
I told him that's a good way to get shot where I live. Like, you just open somebody's door, and if I'm in there working, you just come walking in. Like,
yeah, listen, I never let them in.
Yeah, we keep it. After that, we keep the doors locked.
And they were like, and then they'll send me a notice that I have to let them in. They'll send me the third notice. And I'm like, and then when I finally let them in, I'm like, what do you want?
And that's something contractors can help you with too. Some contractors have better working relationships with city officials and the municipalities, and like our plumbers can just wink at people out there and get shit done. You know what I mean? Versus some contractors have a contentious relationship with government officials.
In small towns, you can get away with the wink stuff.
Right. Here.
Handshake stuff, but like in the major cities.
Mm-hmm. Like my wife is a licensed contractor. In our area, you just need to know some basic shit and pay the fee. And she has a license. So now if they do you have a licensed contractor on site? Yes. My property manager.
Yes.
Yeah. And people don't even think that like as a woman or maybe something like you could be that person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I like that idea. I like that idea a lot.
Right.
I actually have my contractor's license. I just let it expire. And I was thinking about, I was like, you know what? I'm not doing any major work here in New York City anymore. So I don't know anymore.
And that helped us cut out a middleman who would like your guy may or may not even be there to check up on the guys anyway. You know? And now I'm licensed. It doesn't really, you didn't even have to but here's the scary part. It's not like you had to take a test on that, contracting.
No, it's like they basically ask you a lot of questions, like contract questions, not I didn't do very little as far as contracting was concerned.
Doesn't mean you know how to frame a closet.
No, anybody can get it.
You think it does in your head. You think they know a lot about construction, but not really.
I mean,
somewhere in the city, you are not allowed to hire subcontractors on a major renovation.
Right. Yeah. In our area, you can't hire subcontractors without a general contractor overseeing the site if it's so much dollars?
So here you can, like, if I'm doing electrical work, the electrician has to be a licensed electrician to
Sure.
pull the permits for the electric. Now, if I'm doing a major job, then of course you need to have your contractor's license. So what I used to do was
Right.
I would pull the permit under my license with my insurances because
Right.
but when Bloomberg was in office, he kept raising the bond price, and
Yeah.
he just made it so much more difficult. And that's when I started that's when I said, after I did that last job, I was like, yeah, I'm not doing any major work in the city. It's just
Right. You try to
it's
get
like,
around that.
yeah, they do things here. It's a different animal. It's like they wear you down and they nickel and dime you to death, and then people, wonder why rents are so high. I'll give you one. So I'm doing a major waterproofing job on one of my buildings. Actually, the building that I told you, that the first building that almost went bankrupt in. And that job's costing me 90 grand, Gerald. 90 grand. And to put up a shed. So in New York City, when you're doing exterior work, you got to put a walking shed. So the pedestrians that are walking underneath
Right.
don't have any debris falling on them. Now, I wasn't doing anything major. I'm just doing some brick pointing and power washing. I'm scraping down the fire escape and repainting the fire escape. I'm not doing any major work. But the scaffolding alone with the permits, take a wild guess what it cost. Just the walking shed. Take a wild guess what it cost me.
5,000-6,000?
18,500.
No shit.
Yep.
To comply. That's the cost to comply with the law, so you could do the work.
Yeah. So before I start working,
Wow.
18,500. I had to hire an architect to design it, to get it approved.
Right.
Hold the permit to install it.
Right.
Hold the permit to have it erected for 3 months.
Right. Wow.
So then I have to pay to close the permit when it gets taken down. And then I had to pay an licensed electrician, to put lights on the ceiling of the shed, so when people are walking, they have lights.
Right. Yeah. Because it can get kind of dark. Yeah.
It's 18,500. So when people in New York City say, "Well, why is the rent so high?" It cost me 18,500 just to put up a walking shed.
Right. They don't get
It's
that.
only 30 feet long.
Yeah. You get your plumber bill and it's $350, and you're like, for that? And he goes, oh no, not for that.
Yeah.
For that was $3. It's like it's for the trucks and the license and the cities and the permits and the fucking insurance. It's like, yeah. Hey man, I appreciate you coming on. This is where they can at Dan Borrero Jr. there, right?
Yeah, DanielBorreroJr.com. It's only $29. Sign up as soon as possible. So make sure you get your link. You'll be getting a workbook with that, as well as you can come to the class. It's a general mission, the CEO package, and we made a decision.
That's what they should do.
We made a decision not to call it VIP. We wanted to call it CEO because you are the CEO of your company. Most people that will be coming. That's going to include the contract that Chris Haskins used to deal with his contractors, as well as a copy of the actual class, the video of it.
Nice, man. I'm gonna put your link to your social too. They can follow you on Instagram.
Yep, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Gerald, man, as always, it's great talking to you, sharing the screen with you. We're definitely going to meet up in February, right?
February we're going to shoot some content. My wife's looking forward to meeting you too.
Likewise.
Everybody around me is like, man, I want to meet Dan.
Yeah, there you go. So we can hang out.
7 people say that when I said that you were coming. They're like, man, I want to meet him. It's like you don't get that excited to see me. You're like, that's fine. Yeah, but my wife does a lot of a lot of the stuff you do too. You guys do some mutual. She's knee deep in the business. When I'm over
I know she is. You always tell me that too.
Floors.
Yeah. You always give her the credit. That you do.
Yeah. See, he said I give you credit. I do. Everyone around me is trying to help me make money, or they can't be around me, man.
Yeah, that's right. It's supposed to be.
That's the way, especially so we can spend it on our family and live financially free, man.
That's
right. That's what real estate can do for us. But sometimes that's just a little bit of work. Guys like me and you can shortcut your path to get there. Dan can definitely help you on the real estate side. 100%. He's done 100 times more contracting stuff than I have. So I look forward. I'm going to tell him to put MFG somewhere.
You got it. Thank you, Gerald.
Appreciate you, man. You be
good. Yeah, everyone.
All right, man. That's my man, Dan. Hey, guys, go follow him on Instagram. I'm going to put it down in there. We were at minute 31. I'm gonna make a reel of what he was saying at minute 31. That was we were dropping some gems, some bombs there, man. So I appreciate you guys.